Alright, what's up YouTube? Today I'm going to be changing the spark plugs in my 2004 2500 Dodge Ram pickup. And as you can see here, I have some of the tools and stuff in front of me here that I'm going to need. I've got the little swivel joints here. It's going to make it easier getting in on the right hand side where it's a little harder to get to some of the plugs, as I've seen from some other YouTube videos. So thought, since I'm a content viewer, I would help the community and put something out there as well to give somebody another angle on how to do this job. Alright, so today it's going to take 16 spark plugs for my Dodge Ram. It is a Hemi, a 5.7 liter motor, and I have the dielectric grease, and I'm going to go ahead and pre-lube all these up so that they are ready to go in. Alright, we'll see you at the next step. Alright, so what I've got here is the anti-seize that I'm also going to be applying to the 16 spark plugs here. This, I opted to do this one first since it's going to be going on the threads, and I think it'll be a little bit easier to apply the dielectric grease, which I have for the upper portion of the plugs, to the wires in the upper part of the plug as I'm installing it, so I don't get all this stuff everywhere. And both sides lubed up at once, I think it's going to be a little bit tricky to work with. So just going to do the anti-seize here, and as you see, I already have one of them done here. I'm using this little brush here, little plumber's brush I got out of my plumbing kit and something my dad picked up somewhere. Like I said, the anti-seize. I'm just applying a little bit to the brush here and working that around the threads, and the purpose of that is going to be to help extract these plugs when it's time to do the next tune up on the vehicle. So if you've ever had to break loose really hard bolts and stuff, it just helps and aids with the process, so it's not going to be as hard to remove in the future, and it lives up to its name, anti-seize. So okay, so as you see, I have applied it here, like I said, and you want to be careful not to get it up onto the actual part that's creating the spark here, and if it would focus. Alright, so as you can see here, you just need just a little bit here, and I'm going to work that around here with the brush. Just kind of wanted to give you a visual on how much I'm using, and just finding it easier to put it directly on the plug rather than the brush. So there you go, and just work that around with the brush. Alright, so here we are with the 5.7 liter Hemi, the V8. And like I said, we're going to have to change out 2 spark plugs per cylinder here. So we have one with the coil pack and one without. Get a close up here we're looking at. We're going to start with the right hand side here due to the fact it's got a little bit more stuff in the way. The brake booster and everything on this right side. And you see way in the back here, we're going to have to get back in there. Not too difficult, but more difficult to the side. Alright, so we're going to start here by taking off the air box. We have a 8mm socket, or you can use a cross tip, but prefer the socket. Flat tip tends to slip a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off and loosen that up there. What I'm going to do now is come over here to the air box, and you'll see these tabs down in here. I'm just going to pop those loose all the way around. And got one right back there. And this should just leave it loose here. Stop the camera and get that on. Alright, so the next step here is going to be to remove, there's going to be 2 10mm bolts, one right here as you can see, and the other's going to be back here. I'm going to go ahead and loosen those up. And there is one electrical connection for a sensor right here that we're going to have to pop loose, and then this whole unit should pop off the top of the engine, allowing us better access to either side. Alright, we're going to do that and we'll be back. Alright, so we now have both the air filter cover off, as well as the housing up here. And as you can see, I'm not going to be changing, but if you were going to changing all your wires and everything, you would actually have to remove that to gain access to all of your wires. So it's just one less item in your way as you're doing this job. And here they are out of the box. This is the toolkit I'm using, just a simple 130 piece set I get picked up at Pep Boys, so nothing special or fancy. Alright, so like I said earlier, we're going to be tackling this right side here first. We're going to start here on the first 2 plugs on the first cylinder here. And we're going to loosen, there's going to be 2 10mm bolts. You see one on each upper right hand corner and lower left hand corner of the screen. You're going to have to undo those, and that will pop off, releasing and allowing you access to the plug under that. And then this one here, you just pull up like that and slide out of the way. Alright, a couple things here real quick. I have undone the first coil pack and pulled it up. Just want to make a quick note that on these bolts actually have clippers to keep them on the coil pack, so you don't have to mess around with which one is longer, if the upper had a longer, shorter one than the other, and or losing the thing. So that's something nice that is provided for us. Alright, so we have the first 2 plugs installed. We are working on the second. And what we're doing here is going ahead and putting a little bit of that dielectric grease inside of the boots on each, and I've also put them on the top of each spark plug as they're going in. And then these boots will simply slide back down over, and that will help lubricate and prevent any sticking in the future when the spark plugs need to be pulled. Alright, so we're back in here on these hard ones now. We'll just have just the socket and ratchet, no extension on it, in order to be able to get it in there. Just going to loosen those up and then just unscrew them by hand. Seems to be the easiest way to tackle those. Alright. Okay, we got the dielectric grease on the tip here, and I've also, like I showed you in the last clip, put it inside of the boots themselves. Just coating each end generously with that, and ready to install this last one on the right hand side. Move on to the easier side. Alright, alright guys, as you can see here, we're already on the second side and we're just flying through it. Nice and open, easy to work with, easy to get in these spaces here, and they're not too tight. The only one might be a little bit tight is this back one back here, but that's not going to be an issue.
You already took that one out?
Alright, we'll update you when we got it all back together and fire it up. Alright guys, one thing to keep in mind is when you're putting this back together, you got to make sure that you do not forget this little sensor here. Otherwise it's going to throw a code in your motor, and you don't want to do that. That's the, I believe, the airflow sensor. We got all the spark plugs changed, everything put back together, and the air intake manifold back on. We're about to put the other part of it on, and then we'll give you a example of it running. Alright here, so we got it all back together and up and running. Took a little bit to turn over and fire up, you know, due to burning off a little bit of that carburetor cleaner that I used to clean up the air intake. But other than that, no misfiring issues. Don't seem to have damaged any of the wires, and everything seems to have got hooked back up properly. No codes in the motor, and job well done. So hopefully this video helps you guys out there.